Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. Excuse me. As you can see, I am outside again. I'm going to be outside whenever I can because it's just beautiful out here. And, the weather is nice, and I just like being out here, hearing the birds, and surrounded by all the trees. I'm just trying to figure out where is the best location for me to be recording, whether it should be right here or whether it should be over there where I was yesterday, and I had a whole bunch of glare over there, and maybe it depends on time of day. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't come out here to talk about that kind of stuff. It is a beautiful day out here, though. Just exactly what May should be like. But anyway, what I came out here to talk about is DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I also came out here to talk about the other DEI. Didn't earn it. Now, according to those who oppose DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? To those who oppose it, those who benefit from DEI didn't earn it. But is that true? These people say they want a meritocracy, but yet they also say that they get nervous when they get on a plane and they see a female pilot or a black pilot. Never mind the fact that those people had to go through highly extensive training. I don't know what all goes into being a pilot. I know that I've never done it. Closest I've ever come to flying a plane is, I've walked by the cockpit on the way to my seat on a plane. So, there's that. That's probably as close as I've ever been to flying a plane. I don't know. Driving a car may be similar. I doubt it. But, who knows. So anyway, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Is it good? Of course it is. Of course it is. Do we need DEI programs? Well, unfortunately, yes. Yes, we do. And the reason I say unfortunately is because if we truly had a meritocracy like these people want to have or say they want, they really don't. What they mean by meritocracy is, people who look like me. Cisgender, heterosexual, white males, preferably Christian as well. So basically everything that I am, right? That's all we would have, right? But in a true meritocracy, no, it wouldn't be like that, would it? If we truly had a meritocracy, DEI would be just a natural part of that, wouldn't it? You wouldn't question someone's qualifications or their competence if we had a true meritocracy. But we don't, do we? And of course, we have those who want to say, well, never mind that affirmative action and DEI have never been about quotas. Basically, they've always been about, hey, you know what? These people have been excluded for these reasons that have nothing to do with their ability to do the job. How about we don't overlook them because of that, right? And, you know, when Joe Biden appointed Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court, oh, people lost their minds because he said he was going to go find a black woman for the Supreme Court. Well, he's just racist. How so? How so? That is a perspective, a demographic that has never been represented on the court. And it's not like he went downtown and just grabbed a random black woman off the street and said, hey, you're on the Supreme Court. That's not to say that that random black woman off the street downtown wouldn't be able to be a lawyer, a judge, a Supreme Court justice. She probably doesn't have that legal background, more than likely. I mean, if you're just grabbing someone off the street. But if we take a look at the position, right? I mean, there are plenty of judges from every race, both men and women, every race, every religion, every kind of background you can think of. So finding a qualified black woman wasn't hard to do. You know, it really wasn't. I mean, and really, in principle, how is it any different than in 1980, Ronald Reagan campaigned, or one of his campaign promises was that when he was elected, he would appoint the first woman to the Supreme Court. And he did. Sandra Day O'Connor. And say what you will about Reagan, I think O'Connor was a good Supreme Court justice. Did I always agree with her? No. Do I always agree with Ketanji Brown Jackson? No. That's okay. If any two people always agree, one need not even exist, right? Or, to paraphrase my favorite Army general in American history, George Patton, if everyone's thinking the same, someone's not thinking at all. Now, DEI, right? Didn't earn it. Let's take a look at, we were told that Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense under Biden, a black man, 4-star general, was a DEI hire. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, yeah, maybe in that DEI, but he was not a didn't earn it DEI hire. You know who is a DEI didn't earn it hire? Pete Hegseth, current Secretary of Defense, who, he was, I believe, a major in the Army, and he never ran anything bigger than, I believe, a company, maybe even as small as a platoon. That's the biggest thing he's ever been in charge of. Well, except for, some veterans organizations that he ran into the ground. So, there's that. So, a 4-star general was DEI. But a white guy who is unqualified got the job based on merit? Come on. Look, if you're going to rail against DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, first of all, use those words, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then on top of that, state which part you're against. State why you are against diversity. Why are you against equity? Why are you against inclusion? Why? Bet you can't give me a good answer on that without sounding racist, or sexist, or homophobic, or otherwise bigoted. Bet you can't do it. You know, I want the best person for the job, period. You know, and everybody says that's what they want, right? And, you know, this regime said, well, we just want the best person for the job. Who is the best person for the job? Under this regime in almost every position? Usually white men. There are exceptions, you know, Marco Rubio, a Latino man, but, you know, he's also a Trump sycophant, you know, ever since, you know, he was forced to apologize for that joke that he made on the campaign trail back in 2016. Tulsi Gabbard, you know, also highly unqualified, you know, and there are exceptions, but for the most part it's all white men, and unqualified and incompetent white men at that for the most part. I mean, Mike Waltz, he included that reporter on the Signal chat. You know, that first major Signal scandal. Pete Hegseth, he's had at least 2 Signal scandals. And, you know, J.D. Vance, he was barely a United States Senator. Barely. I mean, he was, what, not even 2 years into his first term? So, yeah, there's that. So, what if I told you can have meritocracy and DEI at the same time? Diversity, equity, and inclusion at the same time. Even more than that, not only can you have them, if you have a true meritocracy, you will naturally have DEI. So if you want these DEI programs to go away, rather than forcing them to go away, how about we just go to a true merit-based system? Let's go to a true meritocracy. Instead of, well, you know, this person looks like that, and so they're obviously not qualified. Yeah. Meritocracy leads to DEI, ridding us of these DEI initiatives. Also rids us of meritocracy. Something to think about. Catch you next time.